Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Tara, and we are going to talk about Star Trek Picard, Season 1, Episode 6. It is called The Impossible Box. So, full spoilers for the episode, as always. This is Picard, because he learned last episode, of course, that Soji is in the cube and the artifact. So this episode was them making their way there, and of course Picard actually getting onto the cube and meeting Hugh, and then the other plot, of course, being Soji and Narek, and him getting closer to the truth that he wants, and lots of him and his sister bickering and doing the weird scenes that I hate. But how did you feel about this episode?
I like this episode a lot.
I'm shocked.
I think it's a pretty decent episode. There's a lot that happens in here. We get a lot more of the the through line of the story that we're really following. There's not like a side mission or anything like the last one was. I think everybody's got like a pretty good scene, and I didn't hate the Narek stuff. In fact,
I did.
It might have been my favorite part of the episode.
Oh no. I'm going to have to disagree with that. Narek stuff was still terrible, but I thought the episode was okay. There's definitely some mythology stuff that I really like. I like Picard kind of having to deal with his fear of going to the cube and bringing up some of that stuff. But I think I was getting a little bit frustrated with this episode by the end, because I kind of felt like, okay, all these things are coming together. Picard's finally meeting Soji. We're going to like really get to delve into that side of the season. All that stuff. In theory, on paper, is exactly what should be exciting, but something about it wasn't quite clicking for me, and I'm not sure if it's because the writing in this show is just so kind of blunt and lacks nuance, so it doesn't like everything just felt like it was happening in a really straightforward way that wasn't really creative, and I was feeling kind of this just I was this is the thing. The writers of this show have a lot of great mythology to work with, because they have all this rich history from Next Gen and the shows that came after, all this stuff with Romulans and Borg. All of it is so interesting, and I think a lot of it props this show up, and why it's still somewhat enjoyable is that it has all that to sort of draw upon. But I do think that there's something in the base writing, and I felt this in the first episode. If you go back to the review of the first episode, I talked about how the exposition was really kind of frustratingly dull, and how it was just kind of being blurted out by characters. I feel like the plotting of this episode and the way things happen is just so, and here it is. And here this is.
Yeah,
here this is.
It would have been nice if the Narek stuff, if we didn't have the sister who's always like, oh, you're falling in love with her, and we're supposed to do this, and then this is going to happen after that, and then it'll lead us to this, and then finally we'll be able to rule the world or something. I don't know. Like, it would have been nice if, because we get his big betrayal in this episode, and it would have been nice if we just like, I don't know, we didn't need all the reasons why he was doing what he was to Soji. Like, and if it was just like revealed to us as it was to her, we could probably get all we needed from him saying, like at the end, like, oh, now we know where to go. Like, that's why we did all this in the beginning.
It's frustrating because, on the one hand, I agree with you, but on the other hand, like, because there's a moment in this when Picard arrives in the cube where Hugh, when he starts asking Hugh questions and they realise, okay, so as you're talking about Soji, and he says, Hugh has a line where he says something like, oh, well, I mean, I figured something was up when the not so, subtle Romulan spy started asking questions about her. And I felt like he's right to say that, because there was obviously something up with them, and I feel like they're kind of damned if they do, damned if they don't with his character, and if they'd done what you just said and kept it a secret, I'd be rolling my eyes at the reveal and going, yeah, I'm so surprised, like they try to keep that a secret from us.
Sure, like, obviously we would have known that something was up, but we wouldn't have known exactly why he was doing what he was doing.
Sure.
Because he tells his sister, I'm doing this so that we can find out where she's from. And if we know where she's from, then we can find all of them. And like, okay, but if he had just said like, got it, we have to find a planet with 2 red moons, and that would have been enough. Like,
I mean, I've hated every scene between Narek and his sister. Like, I absolutely hate those scenes, and I hate them in this episode, as things are falling all over the place, or cats are interfering. Like, and it's made it really frustrating because like they are kind of like this forced drama, and I felt there was a big thing towards the end of this episode that really bugged me because I didn't understand why it was happening, and it felt like a forced drama moment. So, Elnor, right? Elnor, who has a couple of nice little running gags in this episode where he keeps like sort of like pointing out like how people feel. He's kind of like he's like Drax mixed with Troy in a weird way, where he's kind of sensing what people are feeling, but he just kind of blurts it out because he doesn't understand that it'll upset them or
he's kind of like Data, just innocent, you know.
Oh, a little bit of Data, I suppose, as well. And he has a couple of moments, right, and those were kind of funny, the way he was kind of pointing out the tensions, and he would just say, this is making me uncomfortable, or whatever. But he goes down to the thing at the end. So when Picard and Soji finally met, and they're running away at the end, and the final moment of the episode is them going through this weird, not like a Starfleet-style transport, or this other type of like transport gate that the Borg got from this other race that they assimilated. And that's the end of the episode. But Elnor has this big thing where he comes down and he saves Picard from a couple of Romulans that are coming after them, and okay, fine, right, he does his samurai thing, but then he's like, no, I'm not going with you, I must stay back and protect you. And I'm like, why? Explain it.
I am a little disappointed that Elnor is not going to be there, because he is like the big, you know, samurai fighter guy.
Yeah, like
why wouldn't he go with Picard?
We spent a whole episode just 2 episodes ago introducing this character and like that he was going to be part of this team, and like, and I just because even as he's saying this and he's saying, no, you have to go without me, I have to, you know, and Picard says, no, I've left you once before, I'm not doing it again. And he says, Elnor says to him, oh, you have no idea how great it is to hear you say that. It truly means a lot to me, but you have to go. I'm going to stay here and like hold the ground. I'm like, why do you have to hold the ground? Nothing's going to happen to Picard. If anything, Picard's going to some place where they know where he's going roughly, but like there could be danger on the other side of the gate. Maybe he needs protection there. You don't know. Like there's like
I mean, I had the same thought, but I mean, he stays behind to protect him still.
Well, that's what he says. But
like
how?
Q says the room needs to have like a 4-minute cooldown or something before we can keep it a secret again. And anybody who's showing up, like Elnor is probably going to murder, so that room stays a secret.
Okay, I guess. I didn't feel the way, because they're having this big goodbye where Picard has to go, and I'm sure Elnor will catch up with them, or maybe Elnor will be working with Hugh for a little while. Because I mean, they're going to be mad that all these dead Romulans are lying about. Like, they're going to be looking for someone to blame for that, for sure. And like, so there'll all be plot there, but there was this big dramatic goodbye, and I just didn't feel it. I felt like, you know, this whole idea that like Elnor is like dedicated to Picard's cause now, like completely and utterly, and he refuses to, because Picard says, well, I release you from this oath that you've taken to me. He's like, no, I refuse to be released. And I'm like, they've barely done anything together since he joined the ship. Like, there's not even been like a couple of adventures where I'm like, okay, that's where they've built this bond again, or they've rebuilt their trust, they've rebuilt their connection. That's not really happened. So this whole ending where he's like, no, I have to stay back and protect your escape, like, it fell so flat for me, where I'm like, you've not earned this. This is not earned at all. I feel nothing from this.
Well, this is the first time that Elnor's like been given an opportunity to protect Picard. Yeah, other than like on the planet where Picard kind of instigated the trouble.
Yeah, but that's not a defense. That's the writers not giving him stuff to do before they get to this moment. This moment just came too early. There should have been things before this that had them build their thing, make us care about them, make us care about Elnor in a way where we care that he's willing to stay back and protect Picard.
Well, I wanted to see Elnor go with him because, like I said, or you said, that they're, you know, who knows what Picard's going into or walking into. I mean, he does say like, you know, meet me on this planet. This thing has a range of 40,000 light years, so Picard says we need a rendezvous place. Meet me at this planet. So he seems to know where he's going. Yeah, it's worth, he chose it.
Yeah, it's worth.
So maybe it is safe.
It's worth mentioning the distance in this transporter is much bigger than their teleporters.
Yes.
The range is huge.
Yeah, 40,000 is a lot.
Yeah. Doesn't even matter what unit we're talking about. 40,000 is a lot of any unit.
I doubt that they actually went 40,000 light years because I think it would take a while for the ship to catch up to them.
I don't think they said light years. I think it was like... It wasn't light years, was it?
Oh, I think so.
Okay, I'll take the word for it.
Wasn't the Voyager mission like double that, like 80,000 light years?
I don't know.
And that was supposed to take them like 80 years to travel.
I have a question. This is less a Star Trek question, but it's applicable because Star Trek made me think of it. Right, so you've got the Alpha and Beta quadrants, you've got the Delta quadrant. What's the C one called? What's the third one?
I don't know if there is. There's a Gamma quadrant.
Okay.
Well, I don't know if you've ever heard of a Charlie.
Okay, it's Charlie. Well, that's my question then. Is just what is in that alphabet? What is the C? Because I couldn't think of it when I was watching the episode. Because it came up at one point saying the Beta quadrant, the former neutral zone, and I'm like, oh yeah, Alpha, Beta, Delta. What's the C? What's the C? God damn it! But okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I guess it would be a Charlie quadrant, but
no,
I don't know.
No, it's not. No, it can't be Charlie because Charlie doesn't come after Alpha and Beta. Charlie comes out after Alpha and Bravo.
Oh yeah, you're right.
That's the military one.
Maybe it is Delta Gamma. I don't know.
Maybe it is. Yeah, maybe it is. I don't know. The science nerds or math nerds in the like comments, let me know.
We don't look things up.
Never. What
No.
what am I? Some kind of
That's not what
chump?
the show is. We have to give something to to
could be some mystery.
Inform us.
So this ending felt flat for me, unfortunately, and it's not the only thing I'm going to complain about in this episode. But this one,
I know why he says like please choose to live, but I don't like if they choose to live, then they know the secret. So of course he has to kill them, right? So.
Like
I thought that was a little hokey, but like I understand why he says it because that's what he said before. Choose to live.
But this is such a even though I've got other things to complain about in this episode, because there's a lot of things in this episode that I actually want to complain about. This one might hurt me the most.
Really, I really like this episode.
This one,
like thrilling.
But this one hurt me the most because this is the stuff that I want to care about. I want to care about Picard getting to Soji, and I want to care about Eleanor's bond with him, and it just isn't there yet. And they're trying to play these big beats, and they've just not earned it. It's just not there.
Okay.
And everything with them coming together, because we're seeing like the Soji plot play out when Picard's already on the cube, and it's like, oh well, when is he going to get to her? When's Hugh going to take him to him, or take him to her rather? And like they're getting closer and closer, and then they finally intersect, and I kind of felt like there was just something more interesting to do with this. And I don't know what it is. I'm not a writer. I'm not going to tell you the idea that they should have done here. I don't have like an obvious other one. Everything about it just felt so straightforward to me in a way that was unsatisfying. And I'm not saying I needed twists and turns by any means. Just something. Like something that would make it feel... I mean, you said it was thrilling. I guess my problem is I didn't think it was thrilling. I was kind of just like going through the motions of like, oh, it's just doing the thing. It's just, yeah, I
mean, this episode was like loaded with chases and, just in the nick of time escapes and some cool Romulan technologies. And,
well, yeah,
some answers that we've been, questioning.
But just having chases doesn't mean they're good chases. Like lots of bad.
Well, I like them.
And that's fair. You can like them. But...
I also really like getting a lot more of this new upgraded Borg cube design. I thought was kind of cool. The walls are always like in motion. Like that's kind of neat. They can just change where there's a doorway. That's pretty cool. And it doesn't look like the old Borg cube at all. Like there's no lines of pipes and wires everywhere.
See, I'm conflicted because I prefer how the old one looks. But
I love how the old one looks too. Like, but it makes sense. You're going to redesign things and make it sleeker. Like
it does make sense. It does make sense. But my problem, actually, I need to go back. You've run into a new thing. Hold on. Let me go back. Right? Just because there's technically chases and things that are on paper thrilling doesn't mean it actually works. Because it doesn't mean it's done well.
I felt it.
No, I know you do. But what I'm saying, but that was your defense to me saying that it wasn't thrilling was that they have chases and stuff. And I feel like, but tons of bad movies and stuff have chases. Tons of bad movies have action sequences.
I'm telling you why I thought it was thrilling, not why you clearly didn't.
So that's the first thing. But then you went on to a new point, and now I have to skip over to that. So the Borg cube, right? Technically, you're right. technically it makes sense that the technology would get more advanced and it would be more slick like this and whatever. But I compare this to the Iron Man suit, and I think even though it makes sense that Iron Man would eventually have nanobots like building his suit up, and that's like where it would go eventually when it's at its pinnacle of like technology, it is so much duller to look at. I hate the Iron Man suit in those last two Avengers movies. Movies are great. That Iron Man suit is boring to look at, and because there was something so satisfying about the mechanical clicking into place. And it's kind of the same thing with the Borg cube, where there's something so satisfying about the grungy pipes and like just like all those the elements that make it feel like the Borg cube to me. And I say this having only seen it once, right? Because I've only seen one Next Gen episode with Borg in it so far.
We've seen First Contact. It looks the same.
Sure. Okay. Contact. Yeah. True. Yeah. But it's been a long time since I've seen that movie. But
I mean, the floors are definitely shiny in the original Borg cube.
Sure.
And the floors are shiny here, so that's consistent. It's just the walls are different. Yeah. Instead of like wires running whatever is the best way to...
Hold on. Are you trying to justify the sliding around scene from like 2 episodes ago? Is that what you're doing right now? It's like, they've always had sliding floors. That's canon.
I'm apologizing for nothing.
There's a lot of apologizing going on in this episode so far. We'll see how much.
Yeah, I thought this episode was very engaging, and I like a lot of the answers that came up to the questions we had before, and I like the Narek stuff. I like the Soji and Narek. Like I like all their scenes. I like how that story progressed this episode.
I hated it. It was so melodramatic. And we were complaining last episode about the music. I really noticed it this episode. I hated it.
Well, there was like a moment, where it really stood out, where Raffi is like drunk and has this like phone call to her.
The hijinks
buddy.
It's like hijinks music that's playing as if it's meant to be a comedy scene in the background.
Well, yeah, sure. And then the scene ends, and then Picard sits in the chair, and he goes, da 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 da, or something like. Okay.
Yeah, it's a Star Trek theme plays. Yeah,
a drunk lady just tricked a woman into giving them a pass to the Borg ship, and the Star Trek theme kicks in. Like,
yeah, it was so weird.
I noticed,
but it's not just moments like that though. There's a moment early on in the episode when Picard goes into his chateau, like office, or he's whatever, right? And the music is playing all this like intrigue, and it's just so over the top. And any scene with Soji and Narek, it's just all these strings like, and it's like, it's just it's overdoing everything it can. There's no subtlety to it, and it was really starting to frustrate me. And I think it's because I was really starting to notice the last episode with the scene with Raffi and her son, and then you said it was kind of bugging you.
You know that Cuba Gooding Jr.'s son?
I did not. I can kind of see it now you've mentioned it. It looks like him a
I
little bit.
can hear it. Like they sound the same. Yeah.
But it's almost like if Cuba Gooding Jr. and the Doctor from Discovery had a son together.
I like playing that game too. What if this person had a baby?
Yeah, well, no, but he does. He kind of reminds
but
me
they're
of him
always
as well.
the same gender.
But like, yeah, the music just was really bugging me this episode, and I think it's. I think it's because there's so many moments I feel it should be quiet moments, but they're interrupted. And I think that Picard one where he walks into his office to have like a moment, because I love the moment at the end, because the moment at the end he's looking through Borg images on his computer, and he ends on like the classic image of him. Although I do have a weird question here. Where does this photo come from exactly in context of the universe, like in the universe?
Well, you haven't watched it yet.
Sure. Okay, you're telling me there was a photo taken.
There's a transmission that happens.
Okay, that's fine. Because it looked like a publicity shot to me that they'd put in as if they could look up this photo. And other shows and movies are so guilty of this, of using like footage and clips.
Well, Star Trek especially has always been guilty of that, where it's just like, wait, are there just cameras everywhere on the ship?
And who's editing this footage exactly? Like, what's going on? But fair enough. You're right. Fair enough. I've not seen the episode. If it's easily a screen grab from some sort of transmission, fine. Right. Okay. But I love the way it overlapped with his face, right? And he had this moment, right? That was
blended really well.
That was good. But that entire scene is supposed to be this quiet, reflective moment for Picard, and the music just won't shut up. Like it won't shut up, and it was really getting on my nerves.
I haven't been a fan of the score for this show. Unfortunately, the opening theme has grown on me, though. I think I mentioned that last time. I do like the opening a lot, but the overall, the music just is kind of jarring and almost laughable at some times.
I agree.
But it's a shame.
Yes.
It doesn't take away any points from the show, but it's a shame.
What do you mean it doesn't take any points from the show? It's a thing in the show. It has to take points away.
It's going to take a lot more than that for it to not be a 10.
Your scale is so broken, right? So broken.
I just love new Star Trek.
you're like someone who's rigged their scales so that they think they've never put on weight. They just think, oh, still just 110. Oh. Oh.
Yeah, I never. People do that? Weird.
Eating donuts every day, cookies, big pizzas, step on the scale, still 110. That's fancy, that.
The scale said so.
Anyway, so I like that moment. I'll do some more positives. I don't want to just completely shit on things right this week, mainly because I want Tara to talk to me again. But I did like all the stuff with Hugh and Picard. I really like when Picard first beamed over to the Borg ship, and he has that moment where he's looking up at the sort of just the endless like rows of Borg.
Yeah, he seems to get some vertigo. He's going through some PTSD.
And I was actually thinking, because he's on this little walkway, and I'm like, there's no railing on this walkway. He could easily just fall to his death right now. And
yeah,
I mean, they use that because the ex-collective like sort of grab him, and he gets sort of scared and says, "Let go of me." And it's Hugh that says, "Hey, they don't want you to fall. They're saving your life." And then his reunion. Even though I've not seen Hugh, I've not seen the next gen episodes of Hugh. I felt the history in these scenes, and this is what I was talking about earlier when I was saying how whenever they're like tapping into the history that is already established, it usually does quite well. It's the actual writing of the new story that's suffering, I think, as they're going through it. But I
like where this story is going though. But I also really enjoyed the reunion. There's a really a nice line about Hugh is explaining like the process of the reclamation for these Borg and ex-Borg, and how they give them a name, and the name is like the first step to them becoming who they are again. And it's sweet because that's how like Hugh got his name from Geordi, because Hugh just was like, why do you guys have names and not like call signs or whatever? And he's like, I don't know. We just give him, I don't know. He uses the word you, and Hugh says you, but he says it wrong. So it kind of sounds like Hugh. And Joy's like, yeah, that's it. Hugh. We'll call you Hugh. And that's like because you give someone a name, it humanizes them. Now it's not a thing anymore. Now it almost has autonomy because it has a name. And there's a sweet callback there.
No. I liked him showing Picard like the process, and Picard being like, I didn't think you could actually, revert the assimilation on this scale. Like all that stuff, those little moments I thought were good. It
was a little bit jarring because we just seen like Picard go into this speech about how the Borg are metastasize everything or whatever, and it's and like just a few scenes later, he's like, "Oh, you're right. They're really victims."
Joe, it's like such a good example.
Great that you see him that way.
Yeah, the victims part thing was good, but this is just an example actually of like. So you were talking earlier about how you hated the fact that Narek said to his sister exactly what they were doing, right? Because there was no mystery in it. Here's something else. This would be a simple thing just to make this last chunk of the episodes more engaging. Is see if you cut the scene where Narek actually comes in and convinces her to come with him to do this ritual to, look into her dreams, right? See if you had Picard arrive at her apartment or room or whatever you're calling it, and we hadn't seen this like before. If we hadn't seen all these photos out. Right, because the problem is that this scene on its own, the way it is, because we've already seen her like cut up her photos and test all the things to see how old they are and to find out that she's only 3 years old. Like, this is a frustrating scene as a viewer because Picard is just putting things together that we already know.
It's like 15 seconds. It's barely a scene.
Yeah, but it's still frustrating. It's still a frustrating part of the process to go through, and it's not satisfying. Like, you either have him just look at it and cut away and just get that he understands what's going on, or you maybe make it more interesting by having it be a mystery to us, and when he actually puts it together, it's clicking for us at the same time. Either one would work better, but as it is, we get the full scene of her doing all this and where she's going. We know the entire time where she is, where she's going, what's happening, what Narek's doing. We understand all of it entirely as Picard's looking for her. There's no sense of mystery from his side for us because we know what she's doing.
No, but there is a ticking time clock. That's where the tension comes from.
In theory.
Like they're trying to find her and she's been blocked, so they can't find her. And Narek is trying to get her to the end of the dream so that she can see something that will give him the information he needs. So there's still I still felt the tension of the scene.
Yeah, I think part of the problem is that they've not done enough to but I think she's been so tied to Narek, who I've hated, that that I just don't care about her that much yet. And I think her activating and sticking up for herself before Picard can get to her is a good idea, but I wish there was more of it. I wish that by the time she actually
I like seeing her tear through the deck, though.
Yeah, no, that was a good moment, but I wish there was more of her actually being a badass, because it would make her more proactive on her own and make her more strong on her own. So when she finally meets Picard, it could feel more like a meeting of two great characters, as opposed to, oh, Picard's just shown up here, as soon as this is happening, and they run off together. I'm sure what I'm worried about next episode, and it might not happen, but all I'm worried about now is because they've just kind of been thrown together and they go through this portal, right? Is that the first half of next episode is going to be him just explaining to her why he knows who she is and what happened with her sister, and we're just going to hear things that we've already seen again. And this show has gotten to a point
that is a risk
where that's a genuine concern. There's other shows where I would just assume that they won't do that because that's the stupid thing to do, but this show has done it repeatedly with multiple characters.
That would waste our time.
Yes. I mean, I think these 6 episodes, you can cut these 6 episodes out of about 3 episodes probably, and it'd all be better for it. Or devote your time better to other things, to building up the characters better.
I've enjoyed. I don't need things to be super concise and forward. I enjoyed the world building that we get from the longer episodes and from the detours that have happened as well. It's still more Star Trek. Don't cut my Star Trek in half.
Well, I don't have a problem with it being 6 episodes, but I just don't think they've used their time that wisely. There's been so much repetition and make me really care for her. Make me care that Picard's getting close to her. Make me care that she needs to find the others.
I care about her, and I thought the moment where Picard was begging for her to trust him, please, I'm here to help you, and she's there and she's covered in radiation burns. Her arms are all nasty looking, and I don't know. I felt the plea.
That's another great moment of just ramping it up a little bit would have helped a lot, because as he's begging for her to believe him and trust him to that he wants to help, have that be even more of a tense moment. Have Romulans literally banging on the door, and have it be a swell up moment of it really is trust him or don't. But as he's doing this, there's still a little bit of time. There's still kind of mid chase. It's not I don't know. There's.
Oh, okay.
What?
I mean, there's definitely Romulans on the way.
They're on the.
Hugh says it he pulls up a little thing and he's there's 20 Romulans coming this way or whatever. We have to go.
Yeah, but we don't see them. Telling us is not good enough.
You just see the little dots on the thing.
I just don't
the
think
little alien dots. Do 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 do. No.
Yeah, but that's so set up in that movie. That is so well established that it becomes such a great device.
Sorry, I compared anything to Aliens.
No, that's not what I'm getting at though. But you're comparing a well set up plot device to something that's throwaway in this scene. In this scene, it's like a band-aid to explain something because that they're not. I just don't think it's well written.
Explained.
No, it's not. But there's good ways of explaining it, and there's not. You're apologizing for bad writing by saying technically it does a thing, so therefore it's okay. But it's not.
I did not see any bad writing.
I saw a lot of bad writing in this episode.
This episode was great.
Oh, this is so good. This is why it's fun having you here for this.
Well, yeah, I liked it.
Look, I have to call
I
you.
liked the chase. I thought the tension was real. I thought the emotions were real. Um, okay, like I thought the stuff with Narek kind of paid off. Like he clearly does love her.
Oh,
We get
I
that.
hate. No, I hate. Like, see when he was crying as he was leaving her to die. I hate it. The entire scene just rang so forced to me. It was forced bullshit drama. I don't care. But this belonged in the CW, right? This was a scene from a
Oh,
CW show.
definitely, yeah. Hmm.
Wait, you agree
this
with
is
me?
the Voyager part of the show for sure. Yeah.
Wait, hold on. You agree with me, but this is still a 10.
Oh yeah, definitely.
How
Yeah,
does your mind work?
there's no question.
How does your logic work?
Star Trek equals 10. Okay, well, I thought it was fine. Like, okay, so clearly there is other motivation for him. Like, he didn't want to kill her, but he's conflicted. So we'll see where this goes.
I hate this character so I hope he
I love
dies.
the Rubik's Cube, like, murder machine.
Well, I only like it because it lets me make some Hellraiser jokes. So, the
Well,
box, you open
it's very
it, we
similar to
came.
something that was used in Star Trek Nemesis.
Can't believe you talked right through my Hellraiser quote. All right, it's fine. That's okay.
It's no less than you deserve. So
The box, you opened it, we came. See, that's not bad. I'm not that good at impressions, but I think I do an okay Pinhead.
it's great.
You've not seen it. You don't even know if it's accurate. So
It's true. I've not seen Hellraiser.
it's
I've
lost
seen
on you.
trailers for Hellraiser on like FX while I was trying to watch some other stuff.
Of course, of course. All right, so let's let's get away to some other stuff. I'm really conflicted on another thing. I'm not necessarily saying it's outright bad, but I am conflicted and also getting CW vibes. Even though there's been some teases, I did feel that Jurati throwing herself into the Captain Rios' arms. Like, don't get me wrong. They I mean, this is why I'm conflicted because they kind of justified it in a way because of what she's just done, and they're trying to sell me the idea that she wants to just feel something because she feels so guilty and she's feeling so alone and empty, and this is something to sort of just hide that from herself for a little bit, right?
It's a good way to get over someone.
Right. I get that stuff, but see when she kissed him the first time, and even though I think they've got a bit of chemistry and it's been fine the teases so far, I did roll my eyes because I just kind of felt like, really? Now? We're doing this now?
I don't know. I thought that was a really good scene between them. It felt very natural, like the back and forth between them, the quick flirting into like, oh, they're just gonna sleep with each other. That's cool. And I don't know. I thought it was really well performed, and I like the scene. What it means for the character, like it is a bit odd that nobody's brought up the EMH yet, since we know the EMH activates automatically when someone's in distress. So why wouldn't he been activated when the guy was dying? I don't know. Nobody's brought that up yet.
Well, one of them did activate because she told him to go away. That was a stress one, though, right?
Yeah, he activated for her.
Yeah.
And because she was murdering somebody. But it wouldn't activate for somebody who was dying on the bed, like, or like why wouldn't Rios be like, well, where was the EMH when he was dying? Like,
do you know what the answer to this, Tara, is? Bad rating.
I just think they haven't explained it yet.
you have such what's the phrase? You have such Stockholm syndrome. It is unreal.
I will choose to ignore the definition of Stockholm syndrome and continue with my point. Like, yeah, obviously it's going to come up. So I was just surprised that it didn't come up yet.
I'm not convinced they will bring it up.
No?
Right? Well, the fact that the hologram didn't show
there's
up.
There's going to be some inevitable betrayal, and please don't make a Firefly joke.
How can you say inevitable betrayal and not have me curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal? You love it.
Because the words go together before it was in that your t-shirt phrase thing. Yeah.
I see what's happening here. You're trying to distract me with Firefly quotes, so I'll stop talking about the bad writing, but it ain't gonna happen.
I don't know. I guess we didn't watch the same show because I thought it was really good, and I thought both the writing and the direction was strong. I didn't love the score, whatever, but that's been consistent throughout the show, unfortunately. But I liked every scene with every character. Like they all had like good moments. I even liked the part with Rios, or not Rios, with Rafi in her little moment where she just kind of clicks into gear and goes into friend, like calls her friend and gets what she needs. I thought that was a really good moment for her too. She's clearly gone back to her vices because we get a bottle around with her and smoking some snake weed.
Yeah. She's fine this episode. I mean, honestly, I think Rios had better scenes with her than he did. Like, because when he goes in and says, "Oh, Soji's still alive," and they talk about how they had a bet on that. Well, not sure she was going to be alive or dead.
He owed her 2 strips of platinum.
That felt like better character building to me than any of his scenes with Jiraiya in this episode. It really did.
I really like that moment between them. I don't know, the Jiraiya and Rios, but all right. Sorry I didn't get to you.
It was conflicting.
I hope this doesn't like mean that every episode now you're going to watch and be like, let me find all the things I hate because Tara's going to love everything.
That was not the plan. It's not the plan. I don't want to soften my critiques to not argue with you. Does that make sense? Like, if I feel this way, I'm going to be honest about it and come at it swinging.
Okay.
And I felt like this episode should have been an exciting payoff, this big thing just after the halfway point where our 2 main plots finally converge and come together. And I just don't feel like Soji's been built up enough that I care about the fact that she's with Picard.
I thought the last 15 minutes were so exciting and so strong.
Oh, it was better than
surprised.
It was better than the previous 15-20 minutes where it was a lot of Narek either with Soji or with his sister. All that stuff I basically just hated. And yeah, I'm sorry, but I find him to be just this dull, good-looking guy who they've got because he's got the English accent that they think sounds
evil.
Something, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, he's still Red Maid Romulan. And the Romulan Red Maid.
And the same with his sister was based up until the very ending where he gives a bit of exposition, which we admittedly, even you agreed we didn't really need. We could have just not had that. The scene before that was the same scene they've had before. Like, this is the 3rd time we've had this scene where she's like, "Oh, you better get this done, or I'm just going to kill her and do it my way." And he's like, "No. They have to be subtle with this sister." That
scene could have been done without. But I did like how it sets up why the dream is a vulnerability for him to exploit. You know, why she's having dreams and why is it the same dream? Why would somebody program them to have a dream? And I like the little detail that when she gets control of her dream and is able to see things that weren't really part of the program, she sees her dad's face, but it's just all blurred out because nobody wrote what he looked like in her dream was in the program thing. I thought that was pretty cool.
I do have a problem with these dream things, actually. Not so much the use of them necessarily, just that it felt like something that should have been teased earlier. Like that this whole idea, because the one genuinely interesting thing that Narek brings up is that every phone call with her mother only lasts 70 seconds exactly every single time. And I was like, oh, that's an interesting little tidbit that is a surprise to us. But the dream stuff, the way she kind of starts the episode by having this little nightmare and waking up, and he's like, "Oh, what's wrong?" I mean, I think part of the reason why I hate his character so much is because this sort of sleeping with the enemy and trying to get her to reveal stuff is just so boring to me. It's such a trope. But the dream stuff, it felt like...
Well, hold on to your butts because there's a lot of Deanna Troi episodes that are based around this.
But like, I felt like, could we not have like teased her having nightmares, at least in a memory? Because someone's going to put, well, technically she woke up from a nightmare in this episode. I'm like, okay, fine, but
Well, she may have. I don't know. If we go back and watch him, like maybe that is consistent.
But it wasn't memorable though. It was nothing we were talking about. It was nothing we theorized. And certainly it was nothing that we considered, oh, this might take us somewhere or go further, or it's going to be important.
No, but it does bring us back. Like if you watch all of the Next Generation, like Data does have nightmare episodes, and they get weird. And her having nightmares is pretty consistent with what we know about Data.
Okay, fine. Oh, so fine. Maybe that plays better for you if you know that part of Data history. I don't yet. I've not gotten to Data's nightmares yet. But as someone who's not seen that stuff, this just kind of played as we're introducing this in the episode that it's going to pay off. It felt like something, because this is a serialized show that is completely serialized, it felt weird to me not to introduce the nightmare thing a little bit earlier. Because it was like we find out she has these nightmares. He finds out about it, immediately goes, I can use these. And then by the end of the episode, he's used it and gotten what he wants. It felt almost like, hey, instead of having that same scene with your sister like 3 times, couldn't we have like started teasing this part of the plot like the last time we were with you two? Like, there's something there. Something. I just. This was a frustrating episode for me. I thought it was really clunky.
Apparently,
it was a really clunky episode. There was nothing elegant about it. It felt like writers were like had the basic idea of what they wanted to do, but the skill of like actually putting it together just felt a little bit haphazard and felt just a little bit just inelegant. There was no elegance to it. That is the phrase I'm going to use. There was no elegance to how this came together, or feeling to a lot of it. Like I say, Elrond's big dramatic "I'm staying behind to protect you" fell flat for me. Jurati and Rios fell a little bit flat to me. Like everything with Narek I still hated. So that was like half the episode, which is a big part of why I probably felt frustrated with this one, is that was such a big proportion of it.
Look, I'm not a fan of him either, but I definitely like felt the tension and the excitement of the scenes that he was in, where he was like, about to get away with his master plan.
I mean, that's fair. I'm glad you felt it.
I liked her like figuring things out slowly, and he's like egging her on a bit, like, oh, isn't it weird that you always call your mom and it only lasts 70 seconds before you pass out every time? Like, I don't know, maybe like I liked that. I don't know. It was
Oh no, I'm glad you did. I'm not trying to bring you down, but like this is full of problems. This is full of problems for me, and I'm not going to excuse.
I just feel sorry for you because you didn't get to experience the show like I did.
Where you're blind to all of the problems.
However you want to explain it to yourself.
Star Trek goggles. That's what you've got. Star Trek goggles. Yeah, honestly, like I wish I was liking it more right now. I like it's getting into some great mythology stuff that I want to really be into. And I am intrigued by the overall mystery, like what the secret is and why they're so scared of synthetics. All these things, I am genuinely interested in all this, and a lot of the teasing of that mystery in the first few episodes is what I really liked about the show building up. And I even liked the setup of like getting the crew together, and I wasn't a big fan of the episode that introduced Elrond. I thought that was kind of a weak episode, but I did like him as an addition by the end. Like, okay, we can do stuff with him. He seems like an interesting character. We can have someone who's like this.
Yeah, now they're all separated again. Hopefully just for like one episode though.
So I don't know. I'm not feeling the weight of these character connections that I think the episode or the show wants me to yet. And I can only just kind of take that as feeling a bit rushed in some ways. Like it's kind of weird. I know earlier on it said it could cut down on time. It has this like weird duality that's really frustrating, where it both feels like it's rushing certain elements, but it also feels like it's wasting a lot of time. Like it's really impressive. It's an impressive feat of bad writing. Is that word again? Or that phrase?
Well, yeah, I didn't think it was written poorly at all, but I think you're frustrated because you don't have answers yet, but don't worry. There's going to be an episode next week.
Literally nothing I said was about not having answers.
It's okay. You'll get your answers next week. Or, probably pretty soon because there's only like 4 episodes left.
These last 4 are going to be a ride on this episode, on this review show. I think we're in for some interesting discussions, if nothing else.
Yeah, maybe.
Or we're in for me complaining for 10 minutes about something and Tara just going, I don't know what you're talking about. It worked for me.
What? That doesn't sound like me.
All right, that's episode. This is anything I've missed that you want to talk about, Tara?
No. Pretty good episode. I give it a 10.
I don't know why I give it.
We always skip your rating because mine is the one that people are interested in. What's coming up next week?
What? I'll do that at the end of this.
Yep. Next week we can expect a new planet, some aliens, and the continuing the adventures of Picard and Soji. See you all next week. Live long and prosper.
Thank you for watching or listening, guys. You can, of course, let us know what you think in the comments. Like and subscribe. Ding the bell on YouTube for notifications. To go full on sort of obnoxious YouTube, smash that like button. I hate that. I hate when people say that. So you can support us, everything we do, of course, by rating the podcast on Apple Podcasts. Give us 5 stars in a review. But if you want to support us financially, Tara, how can they do that?
You can check out our Patreon page. It's patreon.com/MalefuzTV, and donating as little as $1 per month will get you bonus episodes of other shows we do. We do a science fiction movie review show, so if you like Star Trek, maybe check it out. There's also a horror movie show. It's not with me, but it's still decent. You can check that out. You get bonus episodes. There's a huge back catalog of shows that we've done, so check it out. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you indeed. Thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys. And to everyone but Connor, curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal.